Investment portfolio update, September 2022. Brace yourself. Brandon Gentili here. A couple months ago, I told you we were in a recession. Then the data came out and confirmed that the very next month. I have a sneaky feeling we are going to see another negative GDP number come out of the US here very soon. Third quarter in a row, and potentially the fourth quarter as well. In a fifth quarter, quite honestly. The economy is really on the brink. If you need any confirmation of that, I would point you to the bond market swinging violently back and forth, going up to 3.5% in the 10-year yield, all the way down to 2.5%. Now, dang near climbing up back to the 3.5% again. That's just all played out in the last couple of months of the summer, in the last 3 months. And again, the dozens of warnings, dire warnings from all the big banks, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, if you want to go, saying there's a hurricane coming. Or over to Europe to see the literal disaster scenario playing out there, a nightmare scenario, all done on their own. And this will cascade and come here. Believe you me. Have you heard any of this in the local news or national news? No, of course not. My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear. We have the media for that, clearly. CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, all these yahoos and the political pundits, no one's going to tell you this. They don't want you scared. Again, my job is to tell you what you need to hear, what you really don't want to hear. I am here to forecast what I think is truly happening and show you what I'm doing to combat it and grow my family's wealth. So literally putting my money where my mouth is. Where am I at? We just went through my plans of, and I do this at a small level too. It's not that I don't do this now. So we just do it. If you go through, please check out the videos we just did in the last 2 days, how I plan to obtain $100 million in the coming decades. And what if I was given $100 million right now? I won the lottery, or I signed a massive contract with somebody. What would I do? And what would I do with that $100 million? Where would it go? Quite honestly, it'd look a lot like this pie chart. This is exactly what I do. And I laid that out in this video, in the blog post. So go check out those out. The last 2 days, I laid those out. And this is exactly what I do, but I'm doing it on a smaller scale right now. I'm doing it at the beginning of the journey, the first 10 years, where it's the linear growth in a way, and then it's exponential in the next decade here. It's going to be exponential growth because I'm primed and ready for European financial market disasters. This is what I've been preparing for 10, 15 years. When I was playing professional hockey and I saw the writings on the wall, I saw America going full Marxist, and I saw them. I called 10 years ago. I told my future wife, my now wife, saying they're going to cancel student loan debt. They're going to do these things. This was very easy to see. These things are very easy to see if we are paying attention and not only reading between the lines, because that's sometimes that's hard to do, but just taking people at their word and seeing, oh my goodness, they're making school free, and just the way the sentiment of culture is going. And what they want to do, at the time it was Agenda 21, and what the UN was doing, the World Economic Forum, and what they were doing, what they had planned with the green agenda, going from global cooling to climate change, or to global cooling in the 70s and 80s, and then it was 90s and 2000s, it was global warming, and then 2010s and on here, it's climate change, because they keep having to rebrand because all their predictions and models are completely bogus. They've told us it's bogus, and it's just a way to take power, wealth, and freedoms away from the poor middle class. That's literally all it is, to create their new world order. And then we have people now saying, this is our liberal world order, it's our new world. I mean, they're telling you, they hid for decades. They hid behind smoke screens and trips, around the world, and met in secret places because there wasn't social media. There wasn't the ability of people to record and report on these things right away or very easily. So they were able to control everything just through one entity, through a Walter Cronkite, give them a script, here you go, and no one knew. Now that the cat's out of the bag, and now that people are able to report from anywhere and any time on Earth, that's why they're censoring big tech. That's why they're censoring all these people. That's why Mark Zuckerberg just came out and said, yeah, we were censoring people. The government told us to do these things. If you can't see these things, you are willingly putting your head in the sand, and you are saying, I don't care about my wealth, I don't care about my freedoms, I don't care about my family, quite honestly. Because this is blatantly obvious. I don't know how it can get any more obvious. And then for 20 years, I was called a conspiracy theorist, and all these things are playing out. And it's just going to continue getting worse. I predicted the student loan things. I'm telling you, there's going to be mass chaos and social unrest in the streets and more violence. That will happen. And this is going to get worse because governments and elites, and I shouldn't say the elites anymore, we're going to call them the unproductive class, taking that from Matt Odell and Marty Bent, and I believe it's really Marty, the unproductive class, these people that do nothing, rent seekers, grifters, and they do nothing. All they do is skim fees and for 401k, or they skim money off the taxes you're paying, and they're just taking from you and don't provide anything. They provide zero to society, except they provide us rules, regulations, bureaucracy, red tape, taxes, IRS, all this garbage that we could stand to do without. We don't need them. People say, well, what do we replace them with? Nothing. I trust you to make the best decisions for you and your family. I trust you to figure out what's the best education for your kids. I trust me to do that for my kids. I don't need central authorities telling us that. I don't believe you need central authorities telling you that. So anyway, I don't want to get in this diatribe and this rant, but man, oh man, this is blatantly obvious. They've been telling us this for decades. Read some of their books, The Great Narrative, The Great Reset, Stakeholder Capitalism, those three by Klaus Schwab. The Prince, Machiavelli from hundreds of years ago. This is the people that they idolize, the Malthusians, the Club of Rome, the Limits of Growth. They've told us for years, this is the plan. We're going to use climate change, and we're going to keep just shilling this and herding people like cattle into the things we want them to do. 70 years ago, the Federal Reserve Chairman of New York saying we don't need taxes. We can print our own currency. We just use it for coercion. We use it for social justice and trying to get people to do what we want them to do. I mean, this is insanity. We are not a tax country. This is not how America was founded. This is not what made us great. We've only done this in the last 100 years. Income tax and Federal Reserve and IRS. This is the stealth inflation tax. This is all done to corral people, and people are enslaved by their governments to give them 20, 30, 50% of their taxes each year to work for the government. Absolute insanity. Again, I digress. I could go on and on about this, but this is the future for my children. This is why I'm passionate about it. It's future for you. I care about you. I care about your kids. I care about my kids. What kind of world are they going to grow up in? I want them to be free and be able to do what they want and live their life and live their passion, live their calling. I don't want them trapped and enslaved by the government and not having their freedoms, not being able to do what they want and get unbelievable health care and those aren't rights. Those are things that they need to go out and earn and take care of. This is where we are bass backwards in this world, in this thinking we just have the right to all these things. We have a right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness, pursuit of property means earning your keep and figuring this all out. That's it. That's what you're given. That's what made this country great. Not just giving people things and entitling people. Not how it works. It's not how humans work. That's why we don't go feed the animals at the zoo, because then they become dependent on the food givers. Can't go throw them back in the wild. So again, have you heard any of this? My job, again, is to tell the truth and forecast what I'm doing and forecast what's going to happen and how I'm going to grow my family's wealth and what I'm doing. I want as many people independent as possible. It's the only way to get through the chaotic and turbulent times ahead. More on this disaster in Europe coming soon as well. And again, like I said, that my $100 million plan of what I would do if I was given $100 million right now, or what I'm going to be doing going forward as we obtain $100 million, is this. It's being 35% in real estate, 20% in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's probably going to grow to be damn near 90+% of this probably someday. And that's my prediction again. And 15% we have in business, 16% in cash right now, 2% in paper. So less than 2%, about 1% or so in stocks and stuff like that. And whole life insurance, again, because there's a next phase. Once the insurance, the purple, blue, and green, those insurance sections pay out, basically. Silver is the green part, silver and gold, and that will then turn into phase 2, which will be more cash flowing real estate and dividend paying stocks. And you'll see those balloon providing massive cash flow. I guess that's the cycle we're in. So anyway, real estate, positive cash flowing rental real estate. We sold the home we had in Sterling Heights that we bought last month. We made a little chunk of cash using OPM, other people's money, which is great. Some friends and family that we have, and made them a bunch of cash, and we made some cash and just by lending money and doing that for 30 days. We used half of our HELOC, our home equity line of credit, to pay off one of our other money lenders, private money lenders, on one of the other rental properties we had that we couldn't refinance. That fell apart because it's a commercial loan, and there's a lot of violent swinging back in the credit markets, debit and debt markets. So there's a lot of lenders falling apart. There's a lot of crazy things going on in that market. So we actually couldn't get that one wrapped up. That actually fell apart. So I had to use some of our cash on hand to then go pay off one of our private money lenders. But we did find a couple other lenders that should be able to do the loan here in the next month or so, next month or two, and get that done and recoup a bunch of that cash, which would be nice. And again, special tip, watch the credit markets, bond markets, especially the 10-year yield, to see where the markets are going to go. This tells us where the stock market and the rest of markets will go. So the credit markets, the bonds, that market is the biggest market in the world. So most people don't know that. That's the tail, or that's the dog that wags the tail. Everyone looks at equities and just looks at the Dow, and markets are crashing. That's the tail. So you're seeing, what's happening because of credit and debt markets. So if you want to know what's happening, look at those, look at the bonds, look what they're doing. This inverted yield curve right now, it's predicting a lot of bad things to come, quite honestly, in the coming quarters here. Again, still building our back end for our commercial real estate plans. We should have that up and running here, and that really next month or so, and really prospecting and getting leads on the table here, certainly by the end of the year. And that could be suitable for investors and people, anyone who's got money sitting in their bank accounts that are looking to get a return on their money and not just earning pennies in their bank account. So again, we are very, very excited for this phase as we scale up here, and we have a lot of great contacts and great people that I've been meeting with and hanging out with and stuff like that, that are going to be huge assets and partners with us. And I have massive goals and dreams. I know they do too, and we're going to do a lot of big stuff together. So whether it's private money lenders or brokers, and one of the broker we hang out with and learn a lot from, going to do a lot of big stuff together, and in the future as these months and quarters and years roll on. So we're very, very excited about that. Partners, property managers, contractors, Chad and his team that do our contracting, and they do our project management stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we have about 35% rental real estate currently. And remember that the dollar is debt. There's nothing backing it. So the further you can get into good debt and buy appreciating assets, you will win long term as governments continue devaluing the dollar or devaluing their currencies. Refinancing real estate and pulling cash out tax-free to invest in other assets will be the people who win long term. Savers get crushed by inflation and small interest savings rates, like we just mentioned, in their bank. Again, the dollar is debt. The dollar is debt. It's not worth anything. It is a debt instrument. Every dollar that's been sprung into existence, there is interest owed on that dollar. That is owed back to someone somewhere. So that is a massive, again, I'm going to say it like 3 more times. The dollar is debt. The dollar is debt. The dollar is debt. It is not money. Money is gold and silver, Bitcoin, things of actual value, finite, scarce, and have the properties of money. Fiat currencies do not have that anymore. They are claim checks. Dollars are claim checks on the actual money themselves, gold, silver in the past. And that's what, it's just an IOU. It's like taking your shirt to the cleaner and saying, hey, can you wash this for me, clean this? And then they give you an IOU. They give you a claim check. They give you a piece of paper that says, hey, you own a shirt and it's here with us. That's what we all go take around every day, those dollars, and act like that's the real thing. Like you can't go wear the claim check. You can't say, oh, this is my shirt, and you've got a little IOU stapled to your skin. That's not how it works. It's an IOU. That is what the dollar is. And it's only viable because all of us have confidence at this time that that is actual money. It's actually worth something. When in reality, we know it's not worth anything. It's not worth the paper it's printed on, and they are printing it into oblivion. We've lost 50% of the value of the dollar against home prices. I just saw an unbelievable graph yesterday. We lost 50% of the value of the dollar compared to real estate. When you divide it against real estate and look at it against real estate and the amount of currency it now takes to buy a median price home, we lost, I think it's like 48% of the value of the dollar. So you can say that real estate's gone up 48%, or the dollar has crashed 48% compared to real estate. This is why I pound the table, Teeka Tiwari style, I pound the table on getting out of dollars and getting into hard assets, gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate. Again, Bitcoin, digital asset section, Bitcoin has been steady over the past month, which is awesome. And I've been continuing putting big chunks. I hope it goes down even more. I hope it goes down to 10,000. I have continued putting big chunks of our cash in beyond my weekly DCA, my dollar cost averaging, as it's dipped below 20,000. The real power lies in the fact that when you own and custody your Bitcoin, remember, put it in your own custody, take it off exchanges, put it in your own cold storage wallet, or at the very least, a hot storage wallet, like a Moon wallet or something like that. You become your own sovereign bank. No one can freeze you out of the system and steal or dilute your wealth. So important. And again, I shared this last month, but this is the Bitcoin versus everything else. Bitcoin is its own asset, and then there's everything else. Fidelity wrote a 25 plus page report on this. You can read it here at this link, or I actually read through it. It's like 40 minutes long. You can speed it up 2x and listen to it in the car or something like that. And it's an incredible, incredible report on Bitcoin and why it's so important and what it is compared to all the other digital assets. It talks about mainly Bitcoin versus all the other digital assets. Right now, we have about 20% of our net worth in Bitcoin. And again, I expect this to become the majority of my portfolio probably over the next 5 to 10 years. It'll just do its thing and it'll just continue going up in time as more and more people realize what's going on. Just saw Nayib Bukele, El Salvador has Bitcoin is legal tender, and he just said Western Union, companies like that, the grifters, the rent seekers, stand to lose about $400 million because his citizens are now keeping that $400 million in their own pockets. So instead of getting $100 sent to you, or 100, I forget what the Bolivar, I forget what they use there. Instead of getting that sent there basically the rent seekers taking $25 of that 100, now they're keeping all of it because they're using Bitcoin. So they get to keep all that. They get to grow their own wealth, do it off their phone instead of traveling 2 hours to the nearest Western Union in their country. And so now those companies are going to go away. Now Visa, MasterCard, you're on deck. You're up next. Central banks, you're in the hole. This is what's going to continue. Bitcoin has continually eaten and destroyed all of the cancerous organizations inside really society. And it's going to continue doing that. That's why I love it so much, because of the properties it has. And it's a virus. It is a great virus, a good virus, and it's a mind virus. It's not only a digital physical virus, but it's a mind virus as well. And it just contaminates everything it gets its hands on, and it cleanses them from the inside out. Gold and silver, commodities, oil wells, uranium, copper, wheat, etc. Silver is the main thing for me here. This is the biggest part of the section here for us. It is monetary value historically, and it's utility galore in the ever-increasing digital world we live in. It's used in dang near everything. That's just going to be even more the case going forward. So this will slowly get overtaken by Bitcoin in the next few years in terms of our portfolio, as I don't think silver will grow nearly as much as Bitcoin will. So Bitcoin's going to far outpace silver, which has traditionally been that kind of safe haven story, gold and silver. But I don't expect them to do much anymore. And I always joke, I've started investing in gold and silver almost 10 years ago, and if I would have been investing in Bitcoin the whole time, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I would be, so I had the sound money thing right, but I was wrong in the sense I didn't know about Bitcoin yet in 2012 and stuff like that in 2013. So I just didn't know about it until years later. And I think 2016 or 2017 was the first time I really saw it, or 2016 maybe. And I just didn't really look into it for another like year and a half, 2 years. It was like 2018 was the first time I invested in Bitcoin. So, I've done well in it, but it's, I missed some massive opportunity here. So that's how you learn at the end of the day. You win some, you lose some. And again, I'd rather store my savings in my retirement in appreciating hard assets like gold, silver, Bitcoin, rather than depreciating dollars or depreciating yen or depreciating euros. We have about 13% in gold and silver to diversify in the analog world around different vaults and geographical locations that we can access in case of emergency. Again, this is, in case the world gets hit by a meteor or something like that, some insane thing, which actually they've just did the first successful Bitcoin transaction through the Lightning Network, I believe, on ham radio. So now we have Bitcoin blockchain coming from satellites now, and we also have it being done through ham radio, which you can't send gold and silver across the world doing any of that immediately. It takes time and money and effort. So that's why one of the reasons why Bitcoin is going to overtake as the world money, quite honestly. And shouldn't the globalists love that? Shouldn't the New World Order, shouldn't they love that? A new world money that can galvanize the world and be great for the world? No, of course they don't. They want a controlled currency. They want dollars and yen and renminbi and the ruble, Russian ruble. They want their own currencies. Zimbabwe is doing this again for like the 5th time. They're going to go through hyperinflation in the last 20 years, 30 years. This is insanity. And people keep giving them money for their bonds and stuff like that. And they keep destroying it. Like, we're going to be restrained this time. And then sure enough, they keep devaluing and destroying and taking people's wealth. And it's just when humans get their hands on the money printer and they have the ability in the government to just print their own currency, you're just counterfeiting currency, and it's almost impossible to keep your hands off of it and to not enrich yourself, and enrich your son, or enrich your family members, or your uncle, or your brother, your cousin. It's just humans have proved this over and over and over again. This is why Bitcoin is so unbelievable, because it's immutable, it's uncensorable, and you can't do this. You cannot do this. It gives the power back to people. The El Salvadorians are now keeping $400 million in their own pockets that can't be taken from them. I mean, I'm so passionate about this because it's freedom, it's liberty, it's the people now winning instead of the centralized authorities winning and keeping all the rest of the people poor. This is just insane, what we're going to go through in the coming decades. unbelievable abundance coming if we can stand through this and be independent, resilient, make it through this turbulent time. Again, paper and stocks, we're getting to the end here. I have a couple percent in gold stocks, my company stock, and Jessica's smaller IRA. Again, this really hasn't changed at all. I'm not keen on things I can't control. But again, there will be a phase 2 coming that we will then go into stocks, fairly heavy probably at some point. A good chunk of our money we have other places will come into stocks and kind of reallocate here and have dividend paying stocks, dividend paying aristocrat stocks that will pay us good, quarterly dividends and have great cash flow. Because again, at the end of the day, everything's about cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. We do not want to invest for appreciation. We cannot count on it. We want to invest for cash flow. And we have about 1% in stocks. Cash businesses, I still believe there are more investments to buy in the cheap in the next 12 to 24 months. I think there's insane things going on in Europe. There's insane things. There's inverted yield curves here. There's just messes everywhere, and it's going to be incredible to watch over the next year or so play out. This could also be cash or equity of your own businesses, your own private placements or general partnerships or limited partnerships. Cash on hand is also good in case our long-term view of inflation is wrong. If we experience massive deflation, the dollar increasing in strength, which it has right now in terms of other currencies, but it's still really fallen compared to other assets, then we'll be able to use that dry powder, cash, to buy many more assets. And that dollar will be worth more compared to those assets. So we'll be able to buy even more. I also have life insurance, like I said before, that I will probably roll into whole life cash value at some point. Going to be talking to, again, my good friend Ron Sneller, which you have seen us do some podcasts and put things together, more content we're going to be doing here going forward in the future. And we've used some of that cash. I think we had 33% last month, and we have about 31% this month. We've used a bit to refi our lender out of one of our rental properties and also to buy Bitcoin. So kind of going above and beyond and bought some extra Bitcoin this month above our dollar cost averaging because it just keeps staying down there low, dips down a little bit. So I buy some more. Again, looking at Bitcoin as a long-term 5, 10, 20-year retirement plan, immutable outside the system. This is the inflation numbers right here. Again, I update this every month. We have 31% in cash, by the way. And this is the inflation numbers. It's really at 18%. If we went by the 1980, before the government started screwing with it and what was going on, this is really important. That's where we're at. So we need to beat 18% inflation. That's why I love Bitcoin. As soon as we get this refinance done, we have cash back. In conclusion, we may sit tight for a quarter or two. Like I just noted, we need to run business and make sure employees can be paid and everything can function properly. And our investments in Bitcoin, private placements, and potentially commodities I was looking at here in quarter 3, quarter 4 might get pushed into next year sometime, as they might be a lot cheaper here in the future if we have big economic shocks. We will deploy cash once there is real carnage in the market, so I have changed my outlook for the time being to be a bit more patient. The apartments and self-storages, they might get some love, might get some of the cash in the coming months, but we have tons of cash on the sidelines with investors that need a place to go. And I want to take care of investors. I want to take care of people and help other people make money. And we'll make money in our Mint and Made Properties business through the acquisitions and the management of it and things like that. So we can make cash through that and maybe invest some. But again, like I said, we have a lot of cash on the sidelines that needs to be utilized. So we might just keep our powder dry for now. And again, trying to stay very liquid and not hold a ton of cash on the balance sheet. But I do think there's going to be real opportunities in the next 12 to 24 months. And we do have to remember inflation is really, like we just noted, 15 to 20% a year. So that's really important to remember that any investment needs to beat that to be profitable, quite honestly. So again, that's why I love Bitcoin. Cumulative or a compound annual growth rate is 100 to 150% a year overall, if you look at it in 2, 4, 8, 10-year time spans. So stay strong. This is an incredible, incredible time. Chaos breeds opportunity, though. And I just implore you to please, I know I went on a rant in the beginning, but there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of chaos coming and a lot of insane things going on, but be prepared because we have a real opportunity here to do some amazing stuff and pick up some amazing investments from people who really just weren't paying attention and just doing some really ridiculous stuff in the last 10 years, 20 years. So I just appreciate you a lot for reading this, for watching this. If you know anyone that could get something out of this, please share it with them. Please let me know your comments, your thoughts, your suggestions. Like and subscribe. Please go check out these other videos about what I would do in a macro. We go into more detail about what I would do if I obtained $100 million right now and exactly where I'd put it to last 10 generations. And again, the biggest thing is it's in different assets. It's in all the asset classes, in the 5 or 6 asset classes. It's not in one asset class. Majority of people have all their wealth in the paper asset class. It's just in stocks and bonds. That's one asset class. That's paper. There's, Bitcoin. People say crypto now, but it's, really Bitcoin's one asset class. Cash value whole life insurance, I kind of consider another one. So those are kind of the 2 newer ones that I look at in general. But then you have paper. I should do that. Should do paper, business, real estate, and commodities. So those are your 6 that I kind of like spread out a little bit. Paper could be, whole life insurance could be considered in the paper section a little bit. But again, that's kind of how I bucket those out and just kind of look at everything and kind of take it as what I want, where I want things in my portfolio. So again, being in the different sectors, being in rental real estate, being in commodities, owning these things physically, owning Bitcoin in your own cold storage, off the exchanges, outside, be your own bank, your own vault, be your own central bank. Start your own monetary standard, start your own gold standard, your own Bitcoin standard. This is your own silver standard. This is super, super, super important because we are coming into an insane time. I do think we're going to have credit lockups in the system. We're going to have gas pumps shut off. We're going to have really the wiping out of the middle class. They've been wiping us out for a long time, and it's started really on hyperdrive, shutting down mom and pop stores 2 years ago, and then leaving Home Depot open. I mean, why is that? Why are they getting PPP loans, the huge companies, and yet mom and pop shops are getting nothing? I mean, you go on and on and on. And again, the writing's on the wall, so we have to be prepared. We have to understand where we're at, be truthful to ourselves. I love Mel Tucker, the coach of Michigan State football. I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately, and he talks a lot about hey, these are the facts, and I got to deal with the facts, what they are, and we got to go from there. That's it. That's all we can do. So these are the facts. These are what's happening. This is what they want to do to people. We have the average lifespan of Americans has gone down for a year. It's the first time in like 30 years that's happened, or 20 years, something like that. And it's the largest drop since like the Great Depression, which is the last fourth turning 100 years ago. So the writing's on the wall. Let's get prepared. I don't know if I'm going to make it through. I hope I do. I believe I'm going to, but we all need to come together and community needs to be there. And we're going to keep doing this to show exactly what we're doing and how we're preparing. So I appreciate you. Like I said, if you don't like it, please dislike it. Please comment. Please let us know we can do better, provide more value. And if you do like it, please like and subscribe. And please share with anyone you think that is liberty-minded, looking to prepare, looking to get ahead, and looking to not be a number in the turbulent times that are coming ahead, not looking to be a statistic. So I appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.